show us as the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Like, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Somebody hit somebody with a pie. Do something.
Giovanni yelling we're out of time as we go off the air.
Giovanni yelling a lot of things tonight.
And welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mark It Down podcast. I am James Giasanti, and it is Thursday night, so you know what that means. Maybe it's been a while, so let me remind you where we are. This is the Gym Pack Zone, where we cover all things TNA. Now, guys, I have some feelings. I'm a little frustrated. I was there this last Sunday at the UBS Arena here in New York as TNA put on Slammiversary. Now, for those who are unaware, Slammiversary is their second biggest show of the calendar year, only surpassed by Bound for Glory, which is in October. And this show was something special. This had the largest TNA crowd since 2013. A huge, huge achievement for a company that, as we know, has gone up and down, back and forth, and has struggled to remain relevant, struggled to remain prominent, and has struggled to find an identity over the years. We joke time and time again about how TNA is the cockroach of professional wrestling, how TNA is the company that just won't go away. And I have been rooting for them. I have been cheering for them. I have been advocating for them for years. For years. I'm the TNA guy here on the pod. So it's no surprise that Slammiversary left me a little, because I'm trying to be optimistic, disappointed. This was their biggest show since 2013. Over 7,000 people passionately screaming, passionately supporting this company. And you guys know I've been vocal about it. I've been vocal about it since it was first announced. I've been vocal about it since it was first implemented. I'm not crazy about the TNA and WWE partnership. I felt it's been rather one-sided. I've felt that it's not truly going to be beneficial to TNA in the long run. And I felt that TNA was sort of being used a little bit as what would be a feeder system to WWE. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with what a feeder system is in sports, very briefly, it's a smaller organization that gives their top prospects, their top talent up the stream to the bigger company that is providing for them. Now, in a lot of ways, that's not a bad thing, but it's a matter of what's important to you as a company, and it's what's important to you as a fan. I can say personally, I have been with TNA since the very, very, very early days. I don't want to say I've been with TNA since day one because that's not true, but I've been with TNA since like day 3. I've been watching since the early 2000s. And what I loved about this company, what I loved about what they represented was that they were an alternative. They were trying to show that wrestling could be something a little different. And they were trying to show, as the X Division, their crown jewel of the company would often say, wrestling is about no limits. I always loved, I always respected that TNA did their own thing no matter what. Sometimes it was fantastic. Sometimes it was awful. But they were always doing their own thing. And they did the best they could to put on a consistent product. I've said it for years here on the pod that I found TNA to be the most, at times, consistent product of any of the live broadcast and television wrestling television that we get every week between WWE, AEW, no matter the company, Ring of Honor. So for me, I love that TNA represented something else. Didn't matter if they were drawing 500 people, didn't matter if they were drawing 5,000 people. I just loved that they were something else and they were true to themselves. Now we're seeing, yes, 7,000 plus people is amazing. Amazing. It's an accomplishment that should not be overlooked. It should be applauded. But in the great debate now of visibility versus perception, yeah, they're very visible. They're more visible than they've ever been before, or haven't been in a very, very long time at the very least. The perception, at least from my perspective and from many fans, it feels lesser. Coming out of Slammiversary, the two world championships of the company, the men's world championship and the knockouts world championship for the women, are being held by NXT talent, WWE NXT talent. Inherently, not the worst thing in the world to have NXT talent holding TNA championships, but in your hottest show in over a decade, when you have homegrown talent like Mike Santana challenging for the world championship in the main event, with an entire building cheering for him to be the conquering hero, and then to not have that moment, it's rough. It's really, really rough. And I've always been a let's let it play out type of fan. I'm willing to give you my faith. I'm willing to give you my patience. But there is no scenario where it will be better for Santana to win the title in October at Bound for Glory, when he's a New York talent in a New York crowd with quite possibly the largest crowd you're going to have of the year. I don't know the arena in Massachusetts that they're going to be performing Bound for Glory in, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say, at the very least, it's going to be comparable. So I think this was a huge fumble. And I could stomach that. I could stomach that fumble if TNA was represented well in other cross-brand matches. And unfortunately, we saw Knockouts champion TNA star Masha Slamovich drop the title to NXT talent JC Jane. Were there shenanigans that protected Masha in the match? Sure, but it doesn't change the fact that both of TNA's top titles, championships that have been held by Hall of Famers, and I'm not talking TNA Hall of Famers, I'm talking WWE Hall of Famers, I'm talking Professional Wrestling Hall of Famers, being held by NXT developmental talent. It's a kick to the teeth. Now, I don't want to spend too much time tonight talking about Slammiversary and the WWE TNA partnership. I'm going to be making a separate video really going into detail about my perception of what this partnership is, what I fear for what this could mean for TNA. And don't get me wrong, I am so happy that this partnership is bringing eyes to this company. But I want the eyes to be satisfied. I want the diehard TNA fans like myself, people who have been watching this company for years, to feel satisfied, because we are here for TNA. I'm not here for NXT. I love Trick Williams. I think JC Jane is a great, promising talent. I'm not here for them to be my champion of this show. TNA has been sending their top talent over to WWE, some of which we're just losing to WWE in Jordan Grace and what I'm sure will be Joe Hendry moving forward. And we're getting NXT talent in return. Undertaker is combating Trick Williams, the TNA World Champion. The Undertaker is going toe-to-toe with Trick Williams. And it's not happening on TNA TV. Does anybody else see how this is weird? And this is like, I feel like I'm a little crazy that I'm the only one saying how much I don't appreciate this. We're going to talk more about it. Again, Slammiversary was a great show, and I'm going to get to the comments. Maria here being great in the comments. Maria, I'm sorry I've been ranting for a bit. Maria saying Slammiversary was a mixed bag for her. I agree. I loved the show. I loved being there. I had a great time with Rev's cousin Daniel, friend of the pod. Absolutely fun show. Seeing the Hardys win that ladder match was incredible. Being there for that, for another title win for the Hardys, another ladder match for the Hardys was awesome. It's something that I'm going to treasure very deeply, very dearly. I got to meet Jeff. I got to meet Indy Hartwell. I got to meet Mike Santana after the show, and it was just so much fun. But just the sour taste that's been left in my mouth by this partnership, it feels like they fumbled the pay-per-view in the final stretch. And that's not a great feeling. And that's very poor timing. Moving on to Maria's next comment. She thinks booking both the men's and women's TNA championships to be won by WWE talent was a terrible idea. She doesn't want to hear about attendance at this show. This is barely a partnership. Look, objectively, things like attendance are important. And I am so happy. Again, I'm saying it again. I'm so happy that TNA is thriving in a lot of regards. But in other instances, just creatively and perceptively, it's disappointing. Maria saying, anyone who says that the only thing TNA deserves out of this partnership is extra views is very disrespectful to TNA and TNA fans. I agree. It goes back to what I said before. It depends on what you value more, viewership or perception. I would like both if possible, but right now I think we're settling for viewership. Maria saying she doesn't like the new TNA president. Look, I'm sure he's doing the best he can, and I'm sure he's coming at this, unfortunately, from a business standpoint, which I understand is necessary. I understand in his position he needs to think about the logistics of TNA and what's going to be best financially for TNA. But man, I hope TNA starts to be better represented. And again, I get it. We're early on in the story, and we're going to talk about it in tonight's episode of Impact. But just generally, a little disappointed. Maria saying JC Jane is not that girl to have two belts at the same time. Let's be honest about that, please. Look, again, the show proved that she shouldn't have beat Masha. It only happened due to interference. It only happened due to distraction. It only happened due to cheating. Masha had her beat, and the ref wasn't around for it. All stuff that sucks, but at least it doesn't bury Masha in the process. Anthony asking, how am I doing today? Rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. I'm doing well, Anthony. Thank you so much. I hope you're doing well as well. My goodness. I hope you're having a great day as well. And yeah, rest in peace to Hulk Hogan, who, now that we're going to get into the show, now that we're going to get into TNA actually itself, that's how the show started tonight, with a respectful honoring of Hulk Hogan, who unfortunately passed away today. That was very well done. It was very nice. And we then transition over into the recap of Slammiversary. TNA does very well on keeping people up to date, and as we're dealing with the fallout from Slammiversary, as Tom Hannafin and Matthew Raywald welcome us to the show, Santino Marella, the director of Authority, comes in and starts his promo reviewing Slammiversary, talking about what a great show it was, but that unfortunately the TNA championships are being held by NXT talent. He says that this will not stand. He also hypes up his NXT North American Championship match against Ethan Page this upcoming Tuesday on NXT. Now, let me tell you guys, I love Santino so much. I love Santino Marella. I'm going to be furious if he takes this title off Ethan Page. Because it's not TNA getting one up on WWE. This is a former WWE guy who NXT viewers are going to recognize as WWE talent. No, thank you. He should lose, setting the stage for somebody else from TNA to challenge for the NXT North American Championship. But I digress. As Santino's talking, enter Masha Slamovich, the former TNA Knockouts champion. She calls out JC Jane for stealing the title at Slammiversary and says that she wants her contractually obligated rematch next week on Impact. Santino makes it official. He's hype. We're hype. Everybody's hype. And out come the system. Guys, I'm not going to lie to you. This was an unexpected development. So, talking about this NXT versus TNA rivalry that is being presented on screen, the system coming out with a major win as JDC, Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers teaming with Matt Cardona took on Dark State from NXT and won. Baffling decision because Dark State is a new young group that are being presented as very imposing. They probably needed the win a little bit more here, and this was not the win that TNA needed. They needed a championship win on the pay-per-view. But that said, shocking to see that the system are just straight up baby faces defending the honor of TNA. And we get into it as Eddie Edwards is speaking with Santino. He says that he'll be damned if he lets outsiders come into their house and take what's theirs. Brian Myers says that TNA Wrestling is the system's home and that this place means something to people. JDC says the system will be TNA soldiers if they're going to war, and they promise Santino that he can count on them. Moose, the former X Division champion, who had a great match with the new, historic, youngest ever X Division champion Leon Slater at the pay-per-view, cuts just the hero promo. He puts over Slater for the win, saying how he earned that championship. He didn't just deserve it. He says that he's setting his sights on the TNA World Championship, and he knows what he has to do next, and that's whoop that trick. Excellent promo from Moose. Excellent presentation from the system, who are just, I'm into it. I've told you guys for a while, granted, it's been a while since I've been here. I haven't been really happy, but I'm doing my best to come back because I care about this product just the way the system does. It was really cool to see this group that has been such a menace say, we might be a menace to this company, but it's our company. So I'm here for it. Maria saying that this was a very solid way to start Impact. I agree with you there. Also saying she doesn't really feel Dark State. I think they need to be developed a little bit more as individuals. And granted, I'm not a constant NXT watcher, but they do just sort of feel, as Maria says, retribution light. That disaster, as Maria puts it. Or Shield light. I need more. Right now, they're just guys. So I'm willing to give that time. They're young. They're good workers, it seems like. But yeah, a little bit more development. But that comes with time. Moving forward, after he, calls out Trick, so shows up our TNA World Champion, flanked by first class AJ Francis and Casey Navarro. Williams, Trick says that Moose must be stupid for demanding a title shot because he lost his match at Slammiversary. He calls him a bobblehead, which, not a bad line. Trick then recaps the success he's had so far, calling himself Trick NA. He refuses to put his title on the line, and Moose calls out Trick and First Class for a match. At this point, Order 4 comes out. led by Mustafa Ali, flanked by the Great Hands and Tasha Steelz, and of course all their security. Mustafa tells Trick not to call him out again or he'll bury his ass like his name is The Undertaker. Great line from Mustafa, who presents himself as a believable threat to anybody. I love it. Mustafa and Order 4 walk their way to the ring. Ali continues to trash talk, but Eddie knocks him down. It's just a full-on brawl. Chaos as the System and the Order brawl in the ring. And Trick and First Class laugh on stage as we cut to commercial. I am intrigued. It does feel like a way of maybe slowing things down a bit. Yeah, that was a good line. Flopping Francis. Oh boy. Maria also saying that she is feeling Ali's faction. I like them. It's hard to be super invested because it's a group built around one guy. Like, it's not designed for the Great Hands to necessarily get over on their own. It's not designed for Tasha Steelz to get over on her own. They're all there to sort of prop up Ali, and in the process, if they get over, that's fantastic. But as opposed to the System, where they're not built around Moose. They're not built around Eddie Edwards. They're built together as a group, and they all have individual goals. We've had tag team title runs. We have had world championship runs. We've had X Division runs. We've had women's tag team title runs in that group. So it's slightly different, but I'm for it. The Great Hands are, I know they're great, and I am a huge fan of Tasha Steelz, and especially the direction she's been going in lately. So I am feeling it too, just a little bit harder. Maria saying Ali is doing the best work of his career. I agree. I am loving. He's doing some of the best character work I've ever seen him do. Not some of. He's doing the best character work I've ever seen him do, and I'm happy that he's thriving. I'm happy he's thriving, and he seems happy. So that's all we can really ask for here. TNA was doing something interesting that, like, at least on the app, I don't watch on TV. I watch on the app. They were showing us without audio, but from a distance, what was going on in between commercial breaks. So I thought that was pretty cool. As we get back though from commercial, we're backstage with the System, who are arguing amongst themselves after the brawl with Order 4. Cardona then shows up and says that they were there for him, so he's there for them. If they need him, he's got their back. Santino Marella, who comes up and is there for this, tells the group to stop fighting and that they should focus on pairs as the ex-Edge brothers. He tried. Myers and Cardona are going to team up for a tag match against the Great Hands later tonight. I thought that was fun. I'm glad that Cardona is not just straight up joining the System. I'm glad that there is acknowledgement of his relationship with Myers, though. So I think this is just best for everyone. He's not part of the group, but he's an ally. So let it run. Cool with me. We then finally get to our first match of the night as the Elegance brand, two of which, of course, are the Knockouts Tag Team Champions, take on the Inspiration and Mara Sade. Now, I'll be very honest with you guys. I've never seen Mara Sade perform before. She was very impressive tonight. I was very much enjoying the matchup. The Inspiration, I know they've been back for a little while now. I got to see them on the pre-show at Slammiversary. It feels so weird that they were such an overact and then they were gone forever. And I get it. Real life got in the way, whether it was just wanting to figure out the next step, both of the women having children at different points. They're back now, and I'm very happy to see them. But it feels like there is just no energy to this team. It feels like the crowd is just there for them. There's no real support yet. So I would love to see that be reestablished because they were so funny in their time in WWE and in their time in TNA. I would love for them to get to a point of feeling really relevant again, but we'll give it some time. Going to the comments real quick. Maria saying, I've always been a fan of Dana Brooke. I have too. I love Ash by Elegance. I feel like she was put in a really bad situation by being called up from NXT too early on. And I'm glad that she's finding her footing really here with this character. What up, Fletcher? Thank you, man, for being here. Much appreciated. Saying, this segment today of Macklin, Leon, and the Hardys was a fun observation and made you want to see if I caught it. Yeah, I did. I really enjoyed it. I think we need stuff like that given the climate of where TNA is with NXT. We need to show that our talent is unified. We need to show that our champions are unified. And even though the world championships are being held by TNA talent, it's cool to see that, not TNA talent, NXT talent. It's cool to see that our TNA champions are going to hold it down. So very cool. But we'll get more into that as we get into the segment a little bit later. Fletcher is saying, a segment of TNA kind of declaring war on WWE, right? Jeff Hardy with the TNA title on a TNA ring, segment against WWE, and he has a WWE shirt on and even turned around for us to see the WWE logo on the back. No comments. No, for real, I get what you're saying. It's fair. I really hope we don't see a turncoat champion where we see some of these TNA stars sort of side with WWE. I don't think that's what this was. I think it was just the Hardys are wearing their merch and Jeff just grabbed a WWE one. There was a lot of Hardy merch at Slammiversary, so I couldn't even tell you which one I bought, if it was the WWE one or the TNA one, or just the Hardy one. See, yep, same brain. Fletcher saying Jeff Hardy with the ultimate heel turn, turning on TNA, helping WWE side. WWE just trademarked Super Brawl. Interesting. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Thanks for that tip, Fletcher. But yeah, this match was fine. The finish came as the inspiration hit Heather by Elegance with the Idolizer for the win. We're probably just building up to the inspiration versus the Elegance brand for the Knockouts tag titles. I'm cool with it. I think as much as I really, really like the Elegance brand, I think the inspiration were designed to have these Knockouts tag titles. I think they are the perfect team for the Knockouts tag titles. And the Elegance brand could always get it back eventually, too. I'm just happy that we're getting Knockouts tag title matches without Spitfire or Rosemary. All great talent. But yeah, I'm just glad that we're seeing some variety. It's really cool to see. After the match, we go backstage where TNA correspondent Gabby tries to get a word with Mike Santana, but he simply walks away, too frustrated to have the interview. I get it, pal. I get it. Gabby then walks over to Indy Hartwell to get her thoughts on Tessa Blanchard's actions at Slammiversary, in which Tessa viciously attacked Gia Miller. I was never a fan of Tessa Blanchard before, but she just made an enemy for life. Do not mess with my girl, Gia Miller. Don't care who you are. But as Indy is talking about Tessa and talking about how Tessa is now suspended, kayfabe with TNA, she's going to focus on other things. And in comes Victoria Crawford, who tries to form an alliance with Indy. At this point, Danny Luna pops up in the frame and tells Crawford to stay out of Indy's way. Cool. The Knockouts division is definitely starting to feel a little bit fresher. Tessa Blanchard, for better or for worse. Indy Hartwell. It seems like Danny Luna might be getting into singles, hopefully. Granted, I've been gone for a while, so maybe if she's been doing singles and I haven't been paying attention, I apologize. Let me know. And now Victoria Crawford, formerly known as Alicia Fox. So lots and lots of talent here. By the way, I'm now realizing, this is on me, I had it in my notes because I'm not really much of an NXT guy. Mara Sade is NXT's former Jakara Jackson. So I'm glad that she landed on her feet somewhere in TNA here. That opens up its own kind of can of worms, and we'll talk about that in that video I promised you guys. But yeah. Let's see. Go into the comments real quick. Maria saying, poor Gia. Yes, poor Gia. My girl didn't deserve that. Maria saying she thinks Tessa is going to NXT. I don't necessarily think so. I think for her, the goal is WWE. I do. But, and it's very possible this run in TNA is to prove that she can behave and she can play nice. But I don't know. I think WWE is very wisely keeping her at arm's length for now. So we'll move forward from there and figure out down the road. Dev, what up, Dev? Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for supporting us both times today, both with Hogan and here. Hope you're doing well, Dev. Maria saying she likes Tessa a lot and she's sorry. Don't be sorry. Look, objectively, Tessa Blanchard is a strong talent. She is an incredible in-ring talent. There is a reason she won the TNA, or at the time, the Impact World Championship. And I don't mean the Knockouts Championship, the Men's World Championship. There's a reason that happened. It's hard for me to overlook all of the real-life negativity that she brings to the product, and she brings with her all that baggage. But I do my best every week when talking about the show, when talking about TNA and with Tessa, to be as objective as possible and to not focus on those real life issues. You know, like if they come up, and I'm not going to be afraid of that. But objectively in the ring, great talent. Great talent. But moving on after that, we go elsewhere backstage where we see Eric Young addressing the rest of the Northern Armory. He claims that Joe Hendry doesn't want to get things right after his loss at Slammiversary, and Young says maybe he should put TNA back in its place by cleansing it of the NXT talent. So this is what I'm talking about. I am willing to let things play out. I am willing to show that TNA, this is all part of the grand story, and TNA is going to look good, eventually conquering NXT. I can buy that. But along the way, we're basically hoping that at Bound for Glory, which is TNA's WrestleMania, there's no better way to put it. At TNA's WrestleMania, Bound for Glory, the hope is they get back their championships. Not that they win NXT championships and they win more, but it's that the hope is they will win back their titles. So we have to, in July, hope that by October, we get our titles back. That's rough. That is rough. Maria saying great promo here. I'd agree. Eric Young is awesome. Eric Young is definitely awesome. But moving forward, we go in the ring to what was just a fun segment, and this is what brought Fletcher to the pod tonight. The new, youngest ever TNA X Division champion, Leon Slater, is in the ring, and the crowd is chanting, "You deserve it." He had an incredible match with Moose. Just an absolute banger. In a night full of bangers, he had a banger. And it's so cool to see this young kid work his way to that title. Slater recapped his win over Moose at Slammiversary. He gave Moose the proper respect, just like he said that Moose showed him by putting the belt around him at the pay-per-view. And he says Moose is one of the best to ever carry the X Division and the X Division Championship. Slater then talks about the moments that a lot of people were talking about at Slammiversary. The return of AJ Styles and AJ's meeting with Slater in the ring. He said he was ready to fly when he heard AJ's music hit at Slammiversary. And at that point, Slater then calls himself a record breaker, and a moment maker. He says he wants to bring the X Division back to its glory days, the days of AJ Styles, the days of Amazing Red, the days of Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin. He wants to make this reign special, and then he asks the Hardys to join him in the ring. At this point, the new TNA Tag Team Champions, the Hardys, make their way down to the ring and celebrate with what Matt calls their son, Leon Slater. Matt puts over TNA fans for keeping the Hardy party rolling. He says that the Hardys are the champions for the 4th time here in TNA, and they will continue to show up and show out with the support of the fans. At this point, TNA International Champion Steve Macklin comes out. He shakes hands with Slater and the Hardys, and he says he isn't happy with outsiders coming into TNA and taking their world titles. He puts over Slater, he puts over the Hardys, calls them his peers and his mentors. He says it's all on them to hold the line and put out a challenge for anyone who dares to step up. The segment ends with all 4 champions celebrating in the ring and cheersing with their titles. See, we were joking or talking a moment ago about with Fletcher that maybe Jeff would turn on them. I'm really worried that a certain forgotten son, Steve Macklin, might actually betray TNA. I don't feel like that would be true to his character. He has always been pro TNA, whether he was a face or a heel or whatever. But I see how you could get there. I really do. And I hope we don't go that route. I really hope we don't go that route. But time will tell on that one. Maria saying she loves Leon Slater and she's happy for him. Me too. Totally there with you. Maria saying Leon Slater is going to be a huge megastar in the future. I agree. And Maria, you did it, and I get it. I absolutely get it. But Maria saying, let's get Leon Slater versus Javon Evans very soon. It just feels like it's a matter of time before Leon ends up in WWE. And that's a great thing. Talent should be rewarded with bigger opportunities, bigger moments, bigger paychecks, bigger everything. But we're already now just viewing TNA's stars of today as WWE's stars of tomorrow. And it's rough. It's really rough. I would love to imagine a future where, oh man, Leon Slater is a future TNA world champion because this kid just has it. But realistically, it's not about waiting for him to become TNA world champion. It's going to become about waiting for him and talent like him to just move over to WWE. So it's rough. Maria saying she heard that JBL is supposed to do an angle for TNA. So he was for a very long time. JBL was doing an angle where he was sort of coming in as like an outlaw who was interfering in the main event and trying to like keep the peace and doing like branding out justice. But supposedly, according to JBL, that storyline was dropped, that he was told that they were going in a different direction by someone who's no longer there, and they didn't even end up going in that different direction. So it just seems that JBL's time with TNA is probably done, at least for now. Maybe it could be picked up again in the future, but as of now, no resolution to any of that, and that's kind of sucky. Fernando, welcome. Thank you for joining us here at the pod tonight. Hope you enjoyed the show. Weird day for wrestling fans with Hogan's passing for many reasons, but thank you for joining us here at the pod. Fernando saying, thank you, Fernando. You just got here and you agreed with my point and just made me feel even more fear. TNA is becoming a farm system for WWE. Let's hope I'm wrong. Nope, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's the unfortunate reality of this group. It's of this partnership. I mean, it's the unfortunate reality of how this is just going to continue to progress. I'm going to be, you didn't hear it before because you weren't here, so I apologize for everyone. I'm repeating myself too. I'm going to be making a video very soon detailing how I feel about the overall WWE TNA partnership. I mentioned earlier in this stream how I felt about Slammiversary and NXT's effect on Slammiversary. Long story short, TLDR, not happy, Fernando. But I will go into greater detail in that video. So be prepared for that probably sometime early next week. I'll let you guys know. Definitely before next Gym Pack Zone. But yeah, not thrilled. Moving on from this championship celebration, we then had a fun singles, no disqualification match as Mance Warner, accompanied by Steph DeLander, took on Jake something. Guys, I'm starting to get the appeal of Mance Warner. I'm not huge on him. I'm way more of a Steph DeLander fan than I am a Mance fan. But I am a huge Jake something fan. And I am so ready for this guy to find success. He has been busting his ass, getting better and better, finding support from the crowd, finding himself in a lot of ways. And I'm ready for this guy to win a title here in TNA. He was doing his best in the X division, where I loved him being the Haas of the division. But that unfortunately sort of got derailed by Moose becoming the champion. One big guy to another big guy. It's not what the division's really about. I know it's not about weight limits. It's about no limits, as I was saying before. But there are expectations of the X division title, and Moose just filled that slot better than something could have at that point. He was looking to have a nice tag team with Hammerstone, but that didn't end up happening because Hammerstone got hurt. And I think Jake was hurt for a little bit too. And now Hammerstone's gone from TNA. So, and he just wasn't ready to go for the TNA world title. So while I'm not clamoring for Macklin to lose the international title anytime soon, I would love Jake something to pick up the international title sooner than later. So going back to this matchup, it hit a lot of good spots. There were a lot of it wasn't like the most hardcore match. There were some nice chair spots. There was a gnarly superplex that Something and Warner propped up. They went through stacked chairs off the top rope. It was brutal. I think we just got to sort of wait it out a little bit. The finish coming with after dodging a baseball bat attack from Mance Warner. I'm so sorry, guys. It wasn't a baseball bat. It was a sledgehammer. After dodging a sledgehammer attack from Mance Warner, he punches a chair out of Warner's hands into his face, and Jake then hits his black hole slam. Much love to Abyss, getting that 1-2-3 off the sidewalk slam and getting the big win here. I really think Jake needs to start racking up some wins. That way, whether it's Macklin or somebody else, he's going to prop himself up very easily, very well for an international title spot. So hopefully very soon we'll get that. After this match, we got a recap of Santino's confrontation with Ethan Page at the pay-per-view. Not at the pay-per-view, at NXT last Tuesday, and how we're going to get that match next week. Oh, Fernando, I'm so sorry about that. I'm just seeing your comment now. Well, I hope the movie's not too bad, I hope you get to enjoy the rest of your night. That's a little frustrating. Sorry for that. But moving forward, we have our NXT and TNA knockouts champion, JC Jane, come out flanked by Fatal Influence. JC says she's come out. She comes from the deepest women's division in professional wrestling, the NXT women's division, and she took out the unbeatable Masha Slamovich. She name dropped a bunch of knockouts legends like Mickie James, Gail Kim, the Beautiful People, so many people. She even name dropped Jordan Grace as former champions that you think of when it comes to that title. JC then proceeds to call out the current knockouts division, mocking everybody from Tessa Blanchard to Xia Brookside to Xia Lee to just everybody. And then she puts herself over again as world champion, saying that she's better than all of them. Nothing against JC Jane as a person, nothing against JC Jane as a wrestler. I think she is developing very well in NXT. I'm just not happy. I'm really just not happy. We then go to a tag match as we have the Great Hands taking on the Major Edges. Yeah, that didn't sound good. I'll come up with something better than Santino. The match was fine. nothing special, nothing major. The finish coming after Mustafa tries getting involved, Tasha Steelz tries getting involved, and then eventually Mustafa's tallest security member, who, if we're going to be honest, was just the same height as Cardona, hits a massive two-handed choke slam onto Cardona while the referee is distracted by all the shenanigans, allowing the Great Hands to get the win over the Major Edgehead Brothers system. Anyway, it's nice to see these two teaming up together again, Cardona and Myers. I was there when they won the Raw Tag Team titles at WrestleMania. I'm a New York guy, so I'm always going to appreciate them. I understand, like I said, I'm happy with him just being adjacent to the system. This doesn't need to be an every week thing, but I'm glad that they acknowledge their deep history and their deep past. And I guess we're going to start seeing more from this security guard, or the Secret Service, I should say, member from Ali. Again, he didn't look that big. He didn't look that major or that huge, but it was a nice choke slam. Cardona sold the hell out of it for him. So I am intrigued. I am intrigued where this will go. And I love the group, so I'm here for it. But moving forward to our main event, we had Matt Cardona. I'm tired, guys. I'm so sorry. We had Mike Santana taking on Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry, who was the future star of TNA, going into this year, taking on what I imagine is the now future star of TNA in Mike Santana. It was interesting being there at Slammiversary because the talent never booed Hendry, not really, but I'm used to him being very, very over. And this was a case of he had his support, but that crowd was 100% against 100% on the side of Santana. And this match was a little more even in terms of support from the crowd than the pay-per-view, but especially they were in Rhode Island, so it's not like it's the same ravenous New York crowd. But Rhode Island was good tonight. I will give it to them. For this live Impact, by the way, we don't get that all the time, but when we do get them, the crowds are there for them. The match was a nice back and forth. It was just two TNA stars, back and forth. And at any point, I would have believed either of them winning. I'd say this was a hell of a match. I'd say this was a banger. I feel, especially with the finish coming, as both men, again, very fun back and forth match. The finish coming as both men make multiple attempts at going for the pin, finally getting the pin, does Mike Santana, beating Joe Hendry, and doing so with a fun roll-up pin counter. And I feel like this is just setting the stage for Santana to go against Trick at Bound for Glory. Again, it's July, and we're hyping up, this whole show was about hyping up Bound for Glory in October. So we do have a way to go. I don't know if it's a great idea to keep Santana on hold all that long till October. You're going to have to really come up with ways to make that make sense as we wait all the way to October for him to go for the title. I guess Moose is going to be in the way. Maybe Eddie Edwards is going to be in the way too. But this is what I want to see. Santana has just gotten over and over and over, and the crowd is so into him. Joe Hendry, enough said. What can I say about Joe Hendry? We obviously know how over he is. I wish these are guys that would commit to TNA. We've known Hendry is 1 foot out the door for God knows how long. Santana, I don't know. I truly don't know what his plans are or what his desires are. He's already shown up on NXT TV. I wish him the best no matter where he does go, whether it's he stays in TNA or maybe eventually makes his way to WWE. But it would be so cool to look at these guys in 5 years and my memories of them be of TNA. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's how this partnership is going to work. But yeah, I don't want to be all gloom and doom as we end the show because that was a great match to end the night on. If you can, go watch it. It was a fun main event. After the match, Santana and Hendry shake hands, and it really did feel not like a passing of the torch, but it did feel like Hendry was giving his support to Santana to go for that title. So I don't know how much longer Hendry is with us in TNA. I don't know when that contract is up. I don't know if he's going to immediately jump ship to WWE, and maybe I'm overthinking it. But for the time being, I think we got to put all our eggs in the Santana basket. Fun main event. Really happy for Santana, who just absolutely has bet on himself, and it's been the right decision from the moment he left AEW. And this was it. This was a great episode of Impact, guys. It was a great follow-up episode. No matter how I might feel about this partnership, no matter how I might feel about TNA's new designation in the professional wrestling world, I enjoyed this episode of Impact. It did what it was supposed to do. It got us getting out of Slammiversary and on the road to Bound for Glory. I'm going to be with you guys every Thursday. I'm going to do my best to be here. I'm going to be frustrated a lot of the time. I could feel it, but bear with me. I will do my best if you guys ride it out with me. Fun show. Not a lot of wrestling. More story than anything. Like, I think it took us roughly a half hour to get to that first knockouts match. Kind of a bummer when that happens, but we did get some really great storytelling. So I'm not going to complain too much. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me here at the Gym Pack Zone for Mark It Down. You guys know the deal at this point. If you're new here, thank you for checking us out. Hi, Dan. I'll let you know. Saturday's possible. Saturday's possible. I'll text you after this. My phone's dead. But yeah, you guys know the deal. If you're new here and you're just checking us out for the first time, thank you so much. I don't know what brought you here, but I appreciate it. If you want to stick around, we would love that. We have fun here. We have fun here lots of days of the week. Lots of different companies, lots of different letters, lots of different stars. So if you want to talk wrestling with us, we'd love to have you. If you're one of our regulars like Fernando or Maria or Dev, thank you. Thank you, guys. I will never stop thanking you for being part of this group and being part of this community. You make this so much more fun. Dan, you too. But guys, thank you so much. I'm tired. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, Twitter, all that jazz. Go check us out there. Our links are down below, right there. Right there. I'm James Giusanti. I'm really tired. Have a good night. Hug your loved ones and be kind to animals. That's for you, Dan.